Right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's the Avid Investor Podcast with me, your host, Josh Adamek. And we're on episode 60 now. It's hard to believe. Episode 60. And today we're going to be talking about, or I'm going to be talking about RGAs and red zone, green zone activities. What do we do? How do we do it? How do we accomplish those? How do we stay on track? And all that fun stuff. So before I get into that, I just wanted to say it's Monday following the Easter weekend, and just wanted to wish everybody a happy Easter. Hope you had a great time with family, friends, loved ones. I know I did. So we kids are off school, spring break, Easter break. They're off school all week, so. It was a fun weekend to kick it all off. So spend some time with the family, with the in-laws, and a lot of time with the kids, just running around and being outside, enjoying the the beautiful weather. We recently we're in the middle of a move right now, and we lucked out with the new place. There's little neighbor kids everywhere, and my kids, our kids have little neighborhood friends which they haven't had before, and it's all new to us. It's an experience, but it's pretty cool. It's taken a little bit of an adjustment though. First night we were there, my son wakes up 5:45, 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, Saturday morning. He's like, he was just out playing hard, the night before, playing hard with his friends, comes in, falls over, goes to bed, wakes up at 5:45. He looks outside. He says, I'm going to go out and play. I'm like, you're not, dude. Not yet. A little early for that. So, we gotta get that in check. But, aside from that, we're loving it. Had a great weekend with the family, with the kids, and just, watch them soak it all up. It's almost summertime. We'll be there before we know it. But anyways, before I go off on too much of a tangent there, let's circle back to the purpose of this one. Today I'm going to talk about RGAs and red zone, green zone activities. So first off, what is an RGA? RGA is a revenue generating activity, and wanted to chat about this a little bit. Mixing up my words here, but anyways, wanted to chat about this one a little bit following a call that I was on last week. So got involved. I always tell you about my friends and mentors and the people that I lean on for advice. And I've got quite a few, good people in my life that both personal and business, professional, that I can lean on for some good quality advice. And, I'm always looking to add more people to that list. So recently I had an opportunity to join up with a mastermind group. It's called Legacy Family, Legacy Wealth, something like that. And this guy's pretty well known on the internet, one of the social media guys, and one of the local guys that a friend of mine who I respect and value his opinion and respect what he's built business wise. He recommended this group, this Legacy Mastermind, and I'm like, I'll give it a shot. So anyways, they do a daily call. This past Friday, the guy that leads the group, he was on the call, and he had said that they had a big deal pending, and they do big deals, multifamily, commercial properties. I think they have, 4, 5, 6,000 units under their, within their group. I think 400 million AUM, something like that. Some pretty big numbers. So anyways, he's telling us about this deal that was pending, a big complex, a group of apartments that they're selling, and the buyer had it under due diligence. And I guess that was coming near expiration, or maybe it already expired. I don't know. And he gets an email. And the email says, hey, man, we got to talk on Monday. And this was on Friday, I guess the week before, not this past Friday, the week before. So, where that's going. where it ended up going was, the buyer wasn't able to follow through with their commitment. So Tim's his name. Tim, you know, of course he's upset. He's planning on a substantial amount of money coming into his business, his organization, and now all of a sudden that's vaporized, gone, and so he's got some work ahead of him. Has to figure out, they already had the money allocated, where it was going to go, what projects it was going to go to, both existing and new projects. And now they've got this big gap to fill. So he comes back to RGA, revenue generating activities. It's like, okay, we had this issue, this situation that we have to deal with, and we've got a gap to fill. So let's get back to the RGAs, revenue generating activities. And, for everyone, depending on the business that you're in, RGAs are different, right? But it's very important to know what an RGA is, because and that also goes in line with red zone, green zone activities. So my other mentor, who I always talk about, John Burley, he talks red zone, green zone activities. Tim, he's talking about RGAs, revenue generating activities, which would basically be your green zone activities. So if you go over to the red zone, green zone activities, take a sheet of paper, take a yellow pad, draw a chart, line down the middle, put one column red zone, or one column green zone, one column red zone. List all the stuff that you do throughout the day. And green zone activities, RGAs, green zone activities are anything that makes you money, right? And red zone activities are things that keep you busy, but don't necessarily make you any money. So it's very important, especially as a business owner or entrepreneur, that we audit our time. And we know that our time is well spent, because there's a big difference between being busy and being productive. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, business owner, whatever, coupled with all the other responsibilities you have in life, it's very easy to keep yourself busy, right? There's always things that need done. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to stop here. I got to grab this. And you can stay very, very busy as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. However, are you being productive? That's the big thing. So there's a huge difference between being productive and being busy. And that's where it's important that we map out our time, and we know the difference between red zone and green zone activities. So, or RGAs, revenue generating activities. So let's go. Let's just couple them together: revenue generating activities and green zone activities. Let's just, for the sake of this conversation, they're one and the same. So what are RGAs? What are green zone activities? Green zone activities, revenue generating activities, are things that make you money, right? So as a business owner, your RGAs are typically, might be a little different from mine, but typically, for the most part, revenue generating activities are making calls and setting appointments, right? But it's, who are you setting appointments with? Real estate investors, developers, property owners, investors, like myself and our company. Our RGAs, revenue generating activities, are typically, making calls and raising money, making written offers, and showing houses, showing approved prospective residents homes to fill houses. So that's pretty much our three buckets for revenue generating activities. Again, making calls and raising money. We can't, as a real estate investor, developer, operating under the private equity model, we need, money, as most people do, to buy real estate and close on transactions. And whether that's making calls to equity partners, potential equity partners, for projects, or whether that's making calls to banks, financial institutions for the debt piece, to put together the capital stack. That's that's our number one, making calls and raising money. Number two is making written offers. When we have money to place, we got to buy houses. So and when I say, well, first off, when I say making calls and raising money, that's getting on the phone, picking up the phone wherever my phone is, dialing and talking to people, making calls and setting appointments. It's not creating content on social media, doing this to, you know, whatever. It's making calls and setting appointments. It's talking to bankers, talking to lenders, talking to brokers, making calls and setting appointments to meet with people and talk with people. Number two is making written offers. When we got money in a place, when we have money to place and we're in buy mode, which we're in buy mode right now, and we're really always buying, always looking to buy. So when we need properties, when we have money to place, we have to make written offers. And making written offers is not scrolling Zillow, looking at the MLS, not, seeing what wholesaler sent us this week. Let's not even get into the whole wholesaling thing. That's that was a bad bad thing to bring up right now with the change in the wholesaling law. So it's not scanning social media. It's not, looking at the different groups, seeing what properties are fit for sale out there. It's not sending out mailers. That is not a green zone activity. That is not a revenue generating activity. Making written offers is the only way that you're able to buy a property. So that is number two, RGA, revenue generating activities. Number three is, for us, is showing homes to pre-qualified residents to convert them to a resident of ours, moving them into one of our homes that's available for occupancy. So that's number three. Again, making calls and setting appointments. Two, making written offers. Three, meeting face-to-face to show prospective residents one of our homes to fill a vacant property. That's the three revenue generating activities that we have in our business. Everything else is things that we have to do. Everything else is things that need to be done, but they're not revenue generating activities. It's if you take a look at, we're talking about social media, for example. Is content creation, an important part of your business? Yeah, it is. It is. I talked about making written offers, is sending out mailers, is marketing, is setting up your call or your text campaign or your direct mail campaign. Is that necessary to buy properties, to market, to find opportunities? Yes. If you're direct marketing, through your business, then yes, you need to do those things. Is that a revenue generating activity? No, that's a green zone activity, because there isn't a direct result from that. Or I'm sorry, that's a red zone activity, because there isn't a direct result from those activities. When it comes to filling the properties, is marketing, is posting your ads on Zillow, syndicating it out to the different platforms, doing your mailers, doing your flyers, doing the marketing for the vacant properties. Is that a revenue generating activity? No, that's a red zone activity. I gave you the three green zone activities, the three revenue generating activities that we have, and that's it. Everything else is busy work. Everything else needs to be done, but you also have to look at the time and the value in those activities. And as the business owner, as you run your company, what things should you be doing as the business owner, and what things should be delegated to your staff or your subcontractors. uh, Basically, the three that I had mentioned: making calls and setting appointments, um, buying making written offers, and three, showing vacant properties to fill. Depending on where you're at with your business and how big your portfolio is, and you know how much staff you have and what your staff looks like, those three things might be what you do as the business owner, and then everything else is done by your staff. All the marketing, all the red zone activities that need to be done for your business to function, may be done by your staff. Perhaps your portfolio is big enough and your staff is large enough to where you can delegate out some of those green zone activities to your staff, to your trusted and trained staff. And that's what we do here at Avid. I mean, everybody has their own box, their own silo. I'm on the investor relations on the money side, and that's what I do. That's my focus. The other red zone activities are, or I'm sorry, the other green zone activities are for my staff, when it comes to buying and filling the properties. And then the red zone activities, of course, we have staff dedicated for those activities as well. So it's important to monitor and make sure everything gets done. But it's very, very important as the business owner to not get caught up in the red zone activities. Because as I mentioned, it's very easy to stay busy. It's sometimes difficult to stay productive. So let's just take another business, for example, any other business, whatever comes to mind. Whatever your business is, jot that down. Think through that. Like, make a list. What are your revenue generating activities, your green zone activities? And more oftentimes than not, I think I talked about this before, recently, it's gonna be making calls and setting appointments to prospective clients. If you have something to offer, an opportunity to offer, likely there, regardless of what business you have, there's got to be some sort of product, some sort of customer service, some sort of revenue creation. So your green zone activities are going to be finding those clients, serving those clients, and maintaining those clients and those customers. Regardless of what that is, you got to focus on the green zone activities and make sure your red zone activities are getting done, but they can be done by someone else if your company and if your business is big enough. If you're new to the business, if you're a solo entrepreneur, it's even more important to audit your time, right? Because like, if you're the one-man band, you're new to this, like you're buying your first couple of properties, or you're in another business where you're in startup mode and you don't have even an assistant or an office manager or a VA or anything yet, if it's just you, it's even more important to consistently audit your time and consistently know where your time is spent, and not get caught up in the red zone activities and delay the green zone, the revenue generating activities, because without revenue, you don't have a business for very long. So again, like, you got to do that. You got to audit your time. You got to make sure you're spending your time on the RGAs, the revenue generating activities, the green zone activities, and it's important to get the red zone done, but the focus has to be in the green zone and the RGAs. So that's that's the message I have for today. I mean, I can't, I could keep going on and on and on about the importance of focus and auditing your time in the red zone and the green zone and the RGAs. But I think you got the point of my message for today. It's important that we audit our time, that we focus, we get the RGAs done. And again, me, for example, I talked about a previous episode. I talked about the consistency and the discipline, and today was another prime example of that. Right. So my kids are off school all week. They're on spring break. Right. So I'm trying to hang out with them a little bit in the morning, and then still trying to get home at a decent time so we can do whatever, play in the front yard, play in the yard, go for bike rides, go to the park, whatever. So I'm kind of burning the candle at both ends here, and I still have a lot of things that I need to get done and want to get done during the day for my business. So today was another prime example where I could have been, it'd be so easy to skip the recording, skip the podcast. And I talked about that consistency and discipline over and over and over again, where, I gotta beat myself up and make sure that, I'm staying consistent and that I have the discipline to get this done every week, because many, many times last night, over the weekend, and even this morning, even getting ready to come in here and getting ready to hit the record button, I'm like, man, I got so much stuff to do. And even during this, my phone is blowing up the whole time, with texts and emails and everything else. But I gotta have that consistency, and I gotta have that discipline, to where, this is where I get this done every week. Because if I would have said, I'll just pause it for next week, I'll just stop this week, I just won't record it this week. Well, guess what? Next week, there would have been something else that came up, right? And then the week after, and the week after, and the week after. And when I talked about this before, I got started this podcast, thanks to a good friend of mine, Brian Hess, who helped me, get this all kicked off and everything, and showed me what to do. And I had somebody at my office here who I would record it, and then they'd take it from there, and they'd cut it, clip it, blast it out all over all the platforms and everything. And then, he ended up moving out of state and didn't work for me anymore. And, he had a great opportunity out in the desert, and went out there and, doing what he loves now, and happy for him. But, he wasn't here to record the podcast anymore. I'm like, I just don't have the time to do it. And, I'm like, kept telling myself, well, I'll figure it out, and I'll get it back up there. And before I knew it, it was like a year and a half, 2 years before I hit that record button again and started back up there. And I had to do it. I felt like I was called to do it, because I had so many people asking me, hey, what happened to the podcast? Where's the podcast? Like, where is it? When are you going to start recording again? And it was like, it was a fair amount of people. At first, when I stopped recording, it was probably once or twice a week. And then it dropped, like, maybe a couple of times a month. And then, it kind of started to die off. But even after a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years, when I wasn't recording, I still had people asking me and bringing up the podcast. And they're like, hey, what happened to that? Really enjoyed listening. I really liked this episode. I really like that. So I felt the need to just figure it out and get it done. And here we are. So now that I'm back, we're just wrapping up. This is episode 60. We're going to keep going. And, I told you we got the studio in the works there, meaning I have everything. I think I have everything for the studio, and just, we got to get it all set up. So that's next on my docket that, I keep putting off. But anyways, again, that's it. Just wanted to reinforce that, I'm staying, that I'm keeping up my discipline and staying consistent, and going to continue to get these out here. So, again, that's it for today. The revenue generating activities in the red zone and green zone. Again, take a yellow pad, make a list, red zone or green zone, red zone, map out the things that you do, what's green, what's red. Focus on the green zone. Make sure you get the red stuff done, because that's important. But typically the red stuff, if you have staff, if you have an assistant, you have a VA, a lot of that red zone can be moved over to them. So that's it for today. thank you so much for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. And again, just if you like this message, if you found this beneficial, share it off with somebody that could benefit from the message. So again, if you have anything you want me to cover, please reach out and let me know. Thank you so much and have a great day.